am about to take a full month off of my business, so I thought that I would share exactly how I am able to do that and some of the things that I have been working on over the last several weeks to make sure that I can fully disconnect when I'm off and to make sure that, frankly, my business doesn't burn to the ground. This is the Profit and Prosper podcast, the podcast that teaches women how to pay themselves six figures from their businesses without having to sacrifice their lives today. So first, I want to give you a little backstory about what made me decide to actually take a full month off. And then I'll share the things that I realized as I paid attention to, the tasks that I was doing on a daily basis, the places where I realized I was still holding on to the day-to-day things that, if I was to leave for a full month, that they would probably want to make sure would continue to run without me. So as a little backstory, I have actually two separate businesses. The business that I have been running the longest is Young & Co., which is my virtual CFO and accounting firm, where we provide strategic financial services to business owners who want to make an impact. That includes virtual CFO, accounting, and tax. I started Young & Co. back in 2018, and I went full-time in that business in 2020 after my son was born and I finished maternity leave, and have been full-time in it ever since. We've grown our team up to 5 full-time employees, plus myself, and then a handful of other contractors and things. And that's a pretty well-established business. We've got a good number of clients. We do right at 7 figures in revenue and growing. That's the one that I'm taking a full month off. My second business is my personal brand, where I do coaching and mentorship for female business owners. That business is newer. I've been doing coaching programs since 2021. I think I did the first ones under Young & Co. as very finance focused sorts of programs. And since then have evolved and have grown my own personal brand business outside of that as well. Since that business is newer, I only officially separated the two businesses out and fully separated all of the programs and things a little over a year ago. And that one, I've got a VA who helps me part-time, but outside of that, it's really just me. In full disclosure, I will not be fully disconnecting from that business for the full 30 days. I do the coaching calls, I do the content, I do all those things. I am doing as much as I can ahead of time, and I'll talk more about that in a second, but I'm doing my best to make sure that I can disconnect at least somewhat and only have to show up for the absolute most necessary things, kind of letting all the other stuff go so that I can have as much rest as possible. And then we do have a couple of vacations, trips planned for the month that I'm taking off. And so I am going to be, fully disconnected for those. But what I realized in May was that my body was feeling a lot of stress. Even though it wasn't even a busy work time, I think coming off of the busy season that we had over in Young & Co., on top of launching my High Profit Society, it was a lot. And, it did take a little bit of a toll on my body, more so than I normally feel at other times of the year. And one of my team members at Young & Co. was actually out for 2 weeks. And then I was approving another vacation for another team member for 2.5 weeks. And I thought to myself, why am I not also taking an extended period off? If I'm totally fine with my team doing it, because when they leave, they make sure that everything is going to be fine while they're gone, right? And then the other members of the team pitch in. I've taken vacation, up to like a week and a half-ish, I think, but I've never really taken time off just for the sake of taking time off. I'll take time off, when school's closed, certainly, or like when there's a vacation to be had. But if I don't have a reason to take time off, I haven't really taken time off. So I had this realization back in May, and my initial thought was, you know what? I could really use an extended break. Within about a 24-hour time frame, it very quickly morphed into I'm going to take a whole month off. The decision to increase it to 30 days was really twofold. Number one, it was mostly for me because I did need some time to just decompress and to kind of shift some of my habits that I have around being connected to my team via Slack, to clients via email, feeling like I need to be in the day-to-day, like helping them, get everything done. So that was definitely one piece, is just for me, I felt like it would be a stretch goal for me to fully disconnect for that long of a time period. And the other one was that I recognize that in Young & Co. anyways, obviously with the team that I have there, we've really built that up to where I don't have to do really any of the deliverables. Even even with the client meetings, I've done a lot of the strategy meetings either by myself or with the team, together. Even that, I've been delegating more and more to my other team members. So the number that I do solely, the number of clients that I work with as the CFO are becoming lesser and lesser. I was like, what if I'm able to step away for an extended time period and really enable my team to step up and run the show? Because I do have full confidence that they'll be able to do that. What I don't have as much confidence in is my ability to keep my fingers out of it. I'm partially doing it to see what happens, what things break. That'll give me a very clear sense of what things we need to improve even more in that business. It's a personal challenge. It's a major area of growth for me, is continuing to build the muscle of taking time for rest and recovery and joy and fun. So once I decided that was going to happen, my initial response was I wanted to take off from mid-June to mid-July, even though that would have given me like 3 or 4 full working weeks before my time off. We shut down that office, the Young & Co office, for the week of July 4th every year anyways. And so I thought, well, if I can line up my time off with that week off, the impact won't be as big. And so I was trying to sort of rush and take that time off. But then what I realized was, number one, I was only choosing that time because I felt like it would be easier. And therefore I felt like I wasn't fully stepping up into the growth opportunity that I had. And then also one of my other team members is also on vacation, overlapping a couple of weeks with that time. And she's one of the ones who I would want to be there when I'm gone to answer questions. And then I want to be there when she's gone to help with client issues. So I just felt like it wasn't a great fit. So what I decided to do was, instead of trying to make it happen quickly, I'm glad I decided to push it. So I'm now going to be gone from mid-July to mid-August. And when I decided that that was going to happen, I immediately started prepping to figure out what things needed to be put in place for me to be able to disconnect. Because my goal for when I'm gone, I do not want to be checking emails. I do not want to be checking Slack, answering questions. I really just fully want a disconnect, a little mini sabbatical. So I started thinking about, what are the things that need to happen in order for me to be able to accomplish that. For about a week or two, I wrote down things where I realized, okay, this is something that only I know how to do. This is something where only I have access to this. I started making myself a list of things that I needed to train or provide access to my other team members so that I wasn't the bottleneck. First and foremost, my team members handle the deliverables for our clients. So Young & Co is an agency style business where, we do done for you services for our clients, and in addition to the strategy sessions. But in terms of all of the deliverables that we do, the bookkeeping, the tax work, the forecasting, the payroll, all of it, my team has historically handled like 99% of it, and the other 1%, there's no reason why I couldn't give that to them either. And if you've listened to the podcast for a while, you know that I very strongly advocate for, if you have a done for you service business or even a consulting business, if you have deliverables to provide to clients, that is one of the things I think is most crucial to delegate to someone else on your team so that you don't get caught up in doing the deliverables. You can certainly review and provide oversight and the strategies and everything, but if I was still doing tax returns and I was answering client questions about taxes, if I was doing bookkeeping, if I was answering all the questions about if I hire this person, then what happens, or any of that, I would never be able to take a month off. There are deadlines that are within that 30-day period, and obviously it's important to me that we still meet those, and so therefore I cannot be the one to do those. Even if you don't want to take 30 days off, it's important to have, maybe not important, but it's very beneficial to have other people who can do that work for you, so that if and when you are sick or you want to take a vacation or whatever it is, like, you are not the bottleneck. You are not the only one who knows how to do it. The second thing that I think is really crucial for me being able to take time off is our MRR, or monthly recurring revenue. So that business model there has the vast majority of the revenue comes from monthly recurring amounts that clients pay month in and month out. We have basically all of our clients on month-to-month arrangements, and they almost never leave. I'm confident that when I'm out, even if we make no additional sales, if we get no additional inquiries while I'm out, we will still have enough cash coming in to pay all the bills and to make everything work out just fine. This goes back to thinking about your business model. So if you have an hourly type business model, then obviously when you take time off, you're not billing hours, and therefore it's going to be hard for you to be able to want to take time off because you're going to be thinking about all of the lost revenue that you have. Versus, me being out for a month is not going to impact really any of the clients in any way, because I can't really think of anything thinking people would potentially reach out and want to ask about that my team cannot answer on their own. Now, the next thing that I thought about when I was planning my time off was my calendar and client meetings. Like I said already, there's, some clients that I'm still I'm the virtual CFO for them in addition to the rest of my team. Although we are transitioning to having another team member be the virtual CFO, that's ongoing for the next few months until I'm officially off of a lot more clients. So I still needed to have client meetings, and I typically will have, client meetings that happen on about a monthly cadence. What I did, knowing that that was going to happen, was I looked at every client who would be scheduled to have a meeting while I'm gone. I actually purposely timed my time off to be half of July and half of August. So anybody who we would have met in July, we are having the meetings just in a smaller time frame in the month of July, and also pushed some into June just because I had the space to. The ones who we'd have meetings in August did the same thing. So I've got a couple of weeks where we have days of client meetings open in August. And so really we're not going to miss a beat for anybody. My other team members have meeting links where if clients have issues or have questions, they're also available to handle a lot of those things. And so I just kind of shuffled around the client meetings for me to be able to step away. The next thing I really focused on was identifying all of the things that I was still responsible for or had access to. One of the biggest things that I found when I was going through that list is sales calls. I'm still the person who takes most of our sales calls, and then I will involve our other team members as needed, especially for the clients where I'm not a touch point. If they don't have a CFO, if they're not paying for the package that has a CFO, then I'm not a touch point for them at all. I make that clear in the sales calls, and then we have other team members join so that they kind of get a sense for the team that they're going to be working with. My team members so far have not done sales calls without me also there. Some of our packages and certain types of clients, they'd probably be fine with, but other ones, especially the higher level ones, I feel like they would probably not be as comfortable doing that without me being there, without more practice first. What I've done for sales calls is I'm basically giving my team the leeway where if we have an inquiry come in and they feel like it would be a good fit and they want to have a call, they want to take it on, they're more than welcome to. But in general, we will not be taking sales calls for the month that I'm out. We looked at how many spots we have every month for new clients to start, and before I'm out, I'm pretty sure we've already filled up all of those spots. We might have one left. I should be able to close that before I'm out. And so we basically filled up all of the onboarding spots, got the proposal signed before I'm out, so that when I come back in August, I will be looking at filling up September spots. Then there are a couple of other things where I definitely review before they go out the door. Some of our more complicated tax returns are an example. Some of the billings where it's for a project and I want to make sure it's worded correctly. We have a priority list of those. My team is working to get all of those to me so I can get through them and reviewed and sign off on them before I'm out. And then for any other clients where I would want to review before anything goes out to them, we've either have gotten them done, or if for some reason we can't get them done, then we're communicating to the client, hey, here's the updated timeline, and nobody's really had an issue with it. And then for some of the other reviews that I do, like billing, for example, there's no reason that I have to be the one to review the billing. And so that's one where I have other team members where I have, Loom videos and just walkthroughs of my thought process of how I do things so that they can step in and handle that while I'm gone, and then hopefully also take it over forever so I don't ever have to pick it up again. And then the last piece was recognizing that I had admin access to some of our systems, and they would have to ask me to go in and add a new client or update the team member or whatever. That's one where I have been working to get them admin access to the different systems, which is always a good idea, because if I got hit by a bus or something, I would want to make sure that they can get in and continue running things while I'm gone. That's how I worked through how to take time off Young & Co. And before I wrap up this episode, I do want to come back to my coaching business, because like I said, that one is not structured right now to really run fully without me. And it's my goal one day to get it there. But to an extent, I'm not as worried about that business because I took everything that I learned from growing Young & Co. and all of the best practices around how to design and structure the offers and deliverables, what we do for our coaching clients, in a way that is really light and easy for me to deliver, so that even if I do take a vacation, I'm not trying to juggle a ton of one-on-one calls. I don't feel like I have to be there all of the time. Like if I were to strip it down to just the bare bones of what we need to do to just keep working for our clients, I could honestly run that business in like 3 hours a week. And that was on purpose. I knew from experience from growing a more done for you and one-on-one type of business that that was not the model that I wanted to also bring over to my coaching business. One of my biggest jobs that falls under my coaching business is all of the content that I create between the podcast and obviously YouTube and social media and all of that. Some of my social media, my VA helps me with, which is amazing. In terms of podcast, YouTube, I'm basically doing my best to batch record as much as I possibly can before I'm out, because I don't want to have to come into my office, because my office is where I record my podcast. And so I really don't want to set foot in here for the whole 30 days when our office is closed. I've been trying to practice not checking my email and not checking my Young & Co Slack and all of that. And I didn't do very well, because on my laptop, which is what I'm using to record the podcast, is where I also have my email and everything already logged in, and it's the default for everything. And so I've opened my email just accidentally. So I know there's ways around that, but I think that the temptation is very real when it comes to me and my laptop. So I'm doing my best to minimize any laptop use while I'm gone. So that is it for how I'm planning to take off a full 30 days. And I don't know if I said this, but it literally is going to be 4.5 full work weeks, 30 or 31 actual calendar days that I'm going to be fully off. So my plan is to come back and either at the very end of my time off or the first week I get back to record another follow-up episode on how I did. Was I actually able to disconnect? People keep asking me, what am I going to do with my time? I plan to go on a couple of trips. I have a whole list of things that I want to do around the house. Like my house is not the vibe currently, and there's some things that I want to declutter and organize and redecorate. My goal is not to fill my time with that only. I plan to spend some time hanging out by the pool, kind of just taking it easy. The whole point of this is for me to be able to rest and relax. My goal is to wake up every day and just ask myself, what feels good for me today? What would bring me the most joy and peace? And what would help me de-stress? And whatever that is, I'm giving myself the permission to do that. Even if I spend 30 days or 31 days straight watching Netflix, that is a-okay. So I'll check back in after my little mini sabbatical ends, and I'll share what it felt like to be disconnected, if I was able to stay out of my emails and my Slack, what I actually did with my time, what things broke in the business, all of the behind the scenes stuff I'll come back and share. If you have thoughts about what's the thing in your business that might break if you were to step away, I would love if you shared that in the comments under the video. So that's it for now, y'all. While you're watching this, I am hopefully on a beach somewhere, so I'll see you back next time.